What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HnH Podcast. I am your co-host, Hamza Rana, joined by my other co-host, Uzaifa Z Rana. Super exciting episode ahead of us. Crazy last week. NFL football's back. Week 2, going on to week 3. A bunch of exciting things that we really want to talk about today. Uzaifa, tell me, man, how was your last week?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you. I'm doing really well. Obviously, a really exciting week 2 in the NFL. It's super nice to know that football is back in the swing of things here. We have a really exciting games this weekend in week 3. But before we start, let's quickly talk about the Cowboys game. We will start every episode quickly recapping the Cowboys and then kind of going between the other games that stood out to us, and quarterbacks. So, Cowboys took the victory over the Giants here in week 2, final score of 40-37 in overtime. I have a simple question for you, Hamza. Can we just pay Brandon Aubrey all the money that this guy needs? Because I don't think there's anyone more valuable, obviously besides elite quarterbacks, to their team than Brandon Aubrey is. Jerry Jones, pay that man, Brandon Aubrey. He deserves every single penny.
Yeah, Brandon Aubrey is... He's a guy that can win you a Super Bowl with any
For
team.
sure.
You know, as soon as you don't even need to get past the 50. You just need to get in between 65 to even 70 yards.
Yeah.
And then it's automatic from there. Brandon Aubrey is unbelievable. Dare I say, one of the most talented kickers we've seen in a very long time.
I think he's the best kicker. One of the best kickers. I think he's the best kicker of all time.
I don't think it's even crazy to say that. You know, Justin Tucker had his run. Justin Tucker was a great kicker in his prime. Something that we can never forget. But I don't know, man. Brandon Aubrey, and the way he kicks it too, it's so effortlessly.
It's so
like he kicks it without he just puts a little swing onto it, and then boom, he lets it go. And man, what's it called? Yeah, Brandon Aubrey's unbelievable. Also, I really like his black cleat, the black and white. Nice. It just makes him look like Makes him look like a demon.
So quickly, let's recap the game. It was an intense game. Cowboys Giants went back and forth. Russell Wilson had a career day, throwing for over 450 yards. That was unbelievable on his part. The Giants, they shocked a lot of people. It wasn't supposed to be a close game. I think the obvious concerns for Dallas is our secondary. They did sign veteran former first overall pick Jadeveon Clowney to help on the edge, hopefully apply a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. That was good to see. But overall, a win is a win. It doesn't matter how you win in this league. The Cowboys now 1-1, tied for second place in that division. Obviously, the Eagles picking up a victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. But overall, what were your thoughts on the game, Hamza? I thought Dak played really well at the end of the game, getting us into field goal range to get those kicks. George Pickens gets his first touchdown as a Dallas Cowboy. And before I give it to you, it was pretty cool to see. I saw a stat. I think it's over 200 yards and penalties have been called against George Pickens, in the sense that DBs are fouling him so much, causing pass interference because of George Pickens' ability to drive down the field and his athletic ability to catch the ball. So that was super, imagine those weren't penalties. George Pickens is catching those balls along with the best receiver in the NFL in CeeDee Lamb. Overall, that was pretty cool to see. But again, like I said, defense needs some work. But Dak played really well at the end of the game, got us into field goal range. Who were your standouts from that game, Hamza, the Cowboys game?
I can say obviously Dak. Dak has been playing like his 2023 form. Dak Prescott right now, I believe he's second or third in passing yards right now. He's playing unbelievable. He's making super tight throws where sometimes a non-football player or a non-quarterback guy, whatever, would see that type of throws like, dude, how and why would you ever make that? But that's just the type of throws that Dak Prescott is making. The one to CeeDee Lamb where he was kind of double covered, he puts that ball where only CeeDee Lamb can grab that. That's just the type of player that Dak Prescott's playing like right now. And obviously Javonte Williams, someone who is, again, a lot of people are saying, oh, but if Jalen Carter was there week 1, I don't think Javonte Williams would have had the game that he did. But then he did that against one of the better run-stopping defenses in the NFL with the Giants, with Dexter Lawrence and that crazy edge rusher crew with Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns. He had 97 rushing yards. He had I believe, was it 30 receiving yards, or I don't know. But Javonte Williams was looking like prime DeMarco Murray.
For sure.
Like that's what I'm seeing. Javonte Williams is playing really well, and defensively, someone that again we were talking about in the offseason before, Kenneth Murray, K9. Kenneth Murray's playing really well. I really like what I see from him. He's a really good run stopper. He's really good at stopping down the early checkdowns, ones that we saw with to Wandale Robinson. He's really good at going from side to side on the field, and yeah, those are my big standouts. I'm really happy from those two.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And quickly, before we move on to the next topic, how was your fantasy football week? Did you win your league, win your games?
So I won in our family league, obviously, and in my other league with my boys. I put up the third highest points, which was 168 points, and I still
Oh my
lost by
goodness.
1 point.
Oh my goodness.
Like unbelievable,
I am
unbelievable.
I'm in 3 leagues. I'm 1-1 in all of them. So we
Hmm.
hopefully we move on. It would really suck to
Hey,
be.
so why don't we talk about the trade that we made this past week?
Yeah, so in our family league, I made a trade with. Before we do that, I would just say it would really suck to be 0-2 in any of these leagues, especially in the league I am with my work being 0-2. Couldn't be me. But on to the trade that we made. I traded quickly. I traded Amon-Ra St. Brown. The reason why I traded him was because I have felt as though that without Ben Johnson, that defense is going to take the offense is going to take a slight decline in productivity. And the other pieces I was trading away, I was getting better value in return. So I traded Amon-Ra, who had the best game ever, which really sucked. I traded Jared Goff, who also had a great game that really sucked. But then I also traded Caleb Johnson. So it's three of those players. Caleb Johnson obviously had that pretty embarrassing kick return fumble that resulted in a Seahawks touchdown. So that was a good part of the trade. But I end up getting back in return one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, the most underrated quarterback in the NFL, future MVP of the NFL, Dak Prescott. I got him. I also got Chuba Hubbard, and I also got T. Higgins. And if you look at my team before, I had CMC and James Conner. I add now Chuba Hubbard to that. We have 2 flexes in this league, so I add that player to our league. I add T. Higgins, a depth player to go alongside guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cortland Sutton, who I have. And then obviously Dak Prescott, man, he shows up and it's going to be a good trade for me long run. But I pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
going to
also it
victory.
sucks that Joe Burrow got hurt, but Teagan still had a good game. I think he saw like
He
15,
did.
16 points. But one quick thing I want to say before we move on, we briefly talked about it last week, but the Cowboys have officially signed Jadeveon Clowney.
Yes.
Literally right after the game, I think about 30 to 45 minutes after the game, the Cowboys signed Jadeveon Clowney. I think it's a 1 year minimum. I think he's making only like $3-4 million.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like how does this signing impact Dallas defense in a positive
Yeah,
way?
I love it. I love it. I think his ability to pressure the quarterback at that age, at 31 years old, it's also a depth piece, right? He's not there to replace Micah Parsons. You can never replace a guy like Micah Parsons, but now you add a depth piece to go along with the really good defensive line that we already have with Kenny Clark and these younger guys. He had 5.5 sacks last year with Carolina. 2 years ago, he had, I think it was 8 or maybe 10 sacks. With who he's with Baltimore or Cleveland. So he still is a player that can play at a really high level. And now you just add that to the Cowboys, former first overall pick, nice depth piece. I'm really excited for that, and hopefully, it starts to put more pressure on the quarterback, and that we can have better coverage. Which our secondary is atrocious, but we don't have much time today to get into that. But I like the signing. Do you think the same?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good depth piece, also a good veteran presence to have. I think Dallas has a lot of good players with our edge rusher crew, but we only have one vet with Dante Fowler, which again Dante Fowler is great. He hasn't really been playing the best, but I think adding a guy like Jadeveon Clowney as well, who's also predominantly known to be a good run stopper, so
Yes.
I think that also helps. Again, Dallas has been stopping running. Again, I think the issue just comes with now we can't stop the pass. This is really annoying.
Yeah, I know.
We're from a team that can't stop the run. Now we're a team that can't stop the pass. So
No, that's a good point.
I think this will significantly help Dallas.
So that's the Cowboys recap. It was a little shorter today because we're pressed on time. However, let's quickly, Hamza, talk about the other games that stood out to you this weekend. I will quickly go first. I have all of them right here. The one game I did want to talk about was the game between I have it right here. the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, two defending Super Bowl rematch of last year. First of all, the tush push that has to be banned. I don't know how they drove down the whole field running the tush push. But yeah, the Chiefs now are sitting at 0-2 in a good division where the Chargers are now 2-0. Denver obviously had a tough loss, but they're still looking good. But the Eagles, man, they have obviously a great defense as we saw. Jalen Hurts again. It must be so amazing for a guy like him to have so many weapons around him, where you only have to throw the ball 5 yards. He doesn't have to make any crazy reads. So really happy for Jalen Hurts and how lucky he is to be able to have this talent. And he doesn't really have to do anything. He just gives the ball to whoever he wants, and they're making plays. But yeah, the Chiefs 0-2. Patrick Mahomes, Hamza, leads that team in rushing. He had 132 yards rushing. I think that
Mm-hmm.
last game, or the two games combined. That was the
And
game,
two rushing touchdowns.
that two rushing. So that game stood out to me. Just the fact that the Eagles are now 2-0, the Chiefs are now 0-2. I do think they will respond in a good way. But that's one game that stood out to me. Hamza, how about yourself? And obviously, we can't go through every game, but give me one or two games that stood out to you.
I think the game between the Colts and the Broncos definitely stood out a lot for the Colts. I think Jonathan Taylor had over 200 yards, like scrimmage yards. That includes passing and rushing.
Yeah,
Uh, Daniel Jones is looking great. Michael Pittman was looking good. Alec Pierce was looking good. The entire Colts offense was looking, and their defense was looking good too. I was super impressed with their D line and their linebackers with Zaire Franklin. Yeah, Colts were looking good, and I don't necessarily want to say the Broncos took a step back. I just think the Colts are looking like the real deal in the AFC South and potential team that can win that division. Also, another game was the Raiders and the Chargers. The Chargers put the Raiders on lockdown. They were all over Geno Smith. Ashton Genty didn't really have the greatest game, but I think that goes for his O line not being the greatest, and also just the Chargers defense. They're animals. They're really gunning at him. Justin Herbert again, he's looking really good. Keenan Allen's looking good. Quentin Johnston, dude, contract year for him,
I know. He's
and
gonna
he's
go up.
stepping up big. He wants to get that money. He needs it. And respectfully, I think if he keeps playing this way for the entire season, I think you got to pay that man his money.
For sure. I
So
agree.
yeah, those are two games that kind of stood out for me.
I'll also add quickly
Yeah,
another game. You mentioned the Monday night game between the Chargers and the Raiders. Another Monday night game that kind of stood out was the Bucs and the Texans. Baker Mayfield, man, he might be,
hmm
he's legit. He has something happened when he went to Tampa. He is now, I would say, one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. 25 of 38, 215 yards, a 65.8% completion percentage, two touchdowns, and he got a little. It looks like he got a little bit of an ankle injury at the end of that game, but
he got it right.
he was able to respond. He stood up right there in C.J. Gardner Johnson's face, so he is really impressive. Bucky Irving, he is playing. If you're a Bucky Irving fantasy owner, you are extremely happy. He's getting the ball a lot. 17 attempts for 71 yards. Obviously, no touchdowns, but his speed is something to be scared about. And
And Emeka Abuka.
yeah, and Mecca Abuka. There you go. You said right there. Mecca Abuka. I don't know if that productivity will continue when a guy like CJ Goodwin gets back. Obviously, he will take time to adjust.
Chris Godwin.
CJ Goodwin. CJ Goodwin's a Cowboys gunner. Oh my goodness, CJ. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But one thing I really want to talk about is CJ Stroud, man. Watching that game, he missed some throws that you normally never see him miss. There was a
Mhm.
levels concept kind of in the red zone there. You had Jaden Higgins running a deep in at about 12 yards. Did I mess his names again?
No, no,
Okay.
no. I'm just thinking about. Just keep going.
uh,
I'll
and
say
Higgins
after.
ran a deep in. It was deep third. Safeties were back, and he just flat out behind the ball, like he threw it. And give credit to the Tampa Bay secondary and their defensive line for playing the way that they did. But that was just a little bit, I would say, off routine or kind of off structure for a guy like CJ Stroud, who 2 years ago was the offensive rookie of the year, or was it? Yeah, 2 years ago,
2 years ago.
offensive rookie of the year. So that's something to keep an eye on if you're a Texans fan. CJ Stroud not looking the same for sure. Uh,
The reason why I was laughing, it got sent to our group chat. You remember the picture that was like CJ Stroud after his rookie season? There was like dude that there was an older man that looks like CJ Stroud.
no, I didn't see it.
There's a picture of him.
I didn't see that. I didn't see
we
that.
we can put a little picture up later if you want.
Yeah,
But no, that I don't know why I was thinking about that. But yeah, Cedar Stroud is not really looking the greatest. But again, I don't want to necessarily all put it on him. I think his old line's also not really helping him as much
for
as
sure.
they should. He did throw a dime to Nico Collins. Also another guy you traded in your different league.
That was a really good trade, though.
Um,
Thank you. That was a really good trade. Traded Nico Collins
um,
for Zay Flowers and Kenneth Walker. Great piece. Great deal.
we'll see. Also, somebody in our league is trying to get Devon H off me. They offered Nico Collins. I'm like, no, on my face.
It's funny.
You know who that is too.
I do know. I do know who that is.
But yeah, no. Cedar Stroud, yeah, he hasn't been really looking the greatest ever since his rookie season. I think he could potentially bounce back. You know, the talent of CJ Stroud, and he's really poised and quarterback as well. So I wouldn't really look too far into it, but just like no, he's not really looking the greatest. And yeah, the Texans. I don't know. I don't know about the Texans this year. We'll see.
For sure. And quick,
Nick Chubb's actually looking not bad though.
Nick Chubb. Yeah, no, he looked pretty good. He I
Hmm.
think I don't know how much. Yeah, he averaged 4.5 yards. Sorry, 3.58 yards a carry. He looked like he was kind of back into his old form. Okay, Hamza. Any other games? You want again? We don't have. We don't have filming for like an hour and a half to kind of deep dive into every game and what we thought. Obviously, last Thursday, the Green Bay Packers beat the Washington Commanders 27-18. I don't think that scoreboard shows how much of a domination it was from Green Bay. That defense is legit, dude. Like, you obviously had a guy like Market Parson. Uh, Overall, that team is looking like a real scary team in the NFC. I thought it was like,
Hmm.
they went out there, beat Detroit week one. You're like, okay, maybe it's just a week one game, but they went in there against a team that went to the NFC Championship game last year. The Washington Commanders offense, aside from Debo Samuel, isn't really looking like they have anything besides a Bill and JD, but the Packers look legit, man. Jordan Love looks
And
amazing.
Jaden Daniels is hurt, so
He
we'll
is hurt
see
too.
how
So
long he's out for.
that was something that just stood out for me. And quickly before we move on, the Detroit Lions we just talked about put the beat down on Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears, 52-21. That was really cool for me. Just I thought the whole story right was Ben Johnson leaving Detroit. Detroit won't be able to respond and play to the same level of offense that they did last year. And Dan Campbell's like, we're gonna bite some kneecaps and we're gonna go crazy. And
Yeah.
they did. They had a really good game. So Jared Goff, obviously, I'm gonna rock.
Let's talk about this super quickly. But dude, we started the season with the NFC North being kind of one of the better divisions in the NFL. And then also recently, JJ McCarthy said, not said, but
Hurt.
JJ McCarthy is going to be out for multiple
Yeah.
weeks. So we have no idea. I honestly, genuinely have no idea. Outside of the Green Bay Packers possibly winning the division, it's a foot race between the Bears, Lions,
Yeah.
and the Vikings right now because JJ McCarthy being out, I think that will I think that would negative. It will be a negative impact for the Vikings
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
I think Carson Wentz is a quarterback right
Yeah,
now.
he is.
Carson Wentz. So yeah, well, I mean,
Remember when people
I
said
haven't heard of
Carson Wentz is
Carson
better
Wentz.
than Dak Prescott? Do you remember that?
Yeah, exactly. I haven't heard of Carson Wentz since 2018.
Just remember. I don't want people to remember that
Um,
time, my high school time, when people were like, Carson Wentz is better than Dak Prescott. Just okay, cool. All right.
yeah, like crazy. But yeah, no, it's man, MC North, man, it's a little bit,
It's intense.
it's getting messy.
All right, bro. Quick. Before we preview tonight's game between the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills, who the Bills also look like they're legit, beating down the Jets in week 2, and then obviously beating Baltimore in week 1.
Freaking James Cook, man.
James Cook is legit. So before we preview that game, Hamza, we have our segment, our
Destroyed me.
QB spotlight for week 2. Which quarterback? I'll let you go first quickly, then I'll finish with my quarterback. Which quarterback, Hamza, this in week 2 stood out above the pack in your mind, and why?
So my QB spotlight for this week is a rookie from last year who just recently got the starting job this year. It started a little bit last year. Michael Penix Jr. for the Atlanta Falcons. Usually we do over and under, but he didn't really have much stats to go off from last year. But even his first game, he had 298 yards, 27 out of 42 attempt, 27 completions, 42 attempts. 64.3 completion percentage, and he had a touchdown. And then this past week against the Vikings, which was a win, took a little bit of a step back, only 135 yards, 61.9 completion percentage. Did not score a touchdown. So I think personally, again, it's only 2 weeks, but I think Michael Penix, even based off his college stats at Washington, he was first round pick for a reason. I have Michael Penix going over 3,000 yards passing. Michael Penix going over 3,000 yards passing. I have him going over 17 touchdowns. And yeah, I think Michael Penix, honestly, he will have a good year. I think, again, it's another division where the NFC South is a little bit of a mess. You don't really know who's going to win that division outside of the Buccaneers. And the Saints took a bit of a step back this offseason and also these past couple weeks. Panthers, again, they're looking at a mess. We had expectations of Bryce Young kind of being the quarterback that we saw in the last couple weeks from last year, but he's also taken a bit of a step back. And yeah, the Falcons, man, they did beat the Vikings. It was a very good defensive game for the Vikings. For the Falcons. All of last year, they only had 8 sacks. Right now, in 2 weeks, they have 7 sacks as a team. So the Falcons, they're turning up, and I think the Falcons will be a good team. And I also think Michael Penix I think he will have a much better season moving on.
I love that, Hamza. And Michael Penix, that's a great pick. Hamza, my quarterback spotlight. If I told you this individual, out of the first 2 weeks, his team would be 2-0, this quarterback would be second in the NFL overall in yards, would you believe me if I said Daniel Jones, the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts? Listen, you got to give him respect, okay? Obviously, you clearly see the issue is the Giants, not Daniel Jones. He left. Small sample size, I understand that. But when he left, I said, I think a couple weeks ago, he can be the Geno Smith for the Indianapolis Colts. A new team, a new scheme, new system, new weapons. And Daniel Jones right now, I have it right here, sir. I'm just going to pull it up right here on a new tab. Daniel Jones so far, first game against the Miami Dolphins, 22 for 29, 272, 75.9% completion percentage. He averaged 9 yards a throw. He finished that game with a touchdown. Week 2 against Denver, who I said a couple weeks ago is my defensive of the year and a sleeper team to look at. He went in there at home, 23 for 34, 316 yards, 16.7% completion percentage, 9.3 yards a throw, and 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. And throughout all of that, the Indianapolis Colts are sitting here 2-0 because, in large part, because of Daniel Jones. Obviously, the defense is making some big-time plays. Their kicker got that last kick to obviously win that game. But Daniel Jones, man, he is looking legit. If you're a fantasy football owner and you have not picked him up yet on your waiver wire, you do that right now. Daniel Jones is proving everyone the Giants were the issue. Again, small sample size. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if he can continue this. But right now, you have to give credit where credit is due. And Daniel Jones sitting right now at 2-0. But I forgot to mention, 2 games, 588 passing yards. Right, that's pretty crazy for a guy who was always.
He doesn't really have much to deal with either.
Exactly, and a large part of that is the offensive line, of course, and Tyler Warren making some big time plays. But this is looking like the right decision the Colts made in training camp, going with Daniel Jones over Anthony Richardson. So Daniel Jones is a quarterback that I want to kind of keep an eye on, and a guy that I think deserves a lot of credit to be shouted out on the HnH podcast. Don't forget to please like, comment, subscribe for this great content every single week. We, by the way, forgot to mention, and before we do that, I want to thank everyone for their support. We have surpassed the 55 mark, 55 subscriber mark. We're somewhere in the 60s right now. We really do appreciate that. It honestly means a lot for us. We have been recording each and every week. We haven't missed a week. Not 1 week have we missed since the beginning of August, and we hope to continue that throughout the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs and into the Super Bowl when the Dallas Cowboys are playing against the Buffalo Bills for the Lombardi Trophy. But again, I want to take a moment to quickly thank everyone. We really do appreciate that a lot. So yeah,
let me
there you go. You got it, sir.
Sorry. Let me ask you this question though.
Yes, I will answer your question, my brother.
If Daniel Jones
yes
continues to have the season that he's having,
yes
which again I doubt he would be in the top two in each stat, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Moving on, I do think Daniel Jones will have a solid season.
Yes.
Where does the team go with Anthony Richardson? Are you trading him?
I
Are you like where would you trade him? Like where's a good fit for Anthony Richardson? Like what's the trade compensation that you're gonna get from this? Like
so AR he was
what's
a
going on?
third overall pick, right?
He was
Fourth,
a
fourth, or
he
third.
was fourth overall pick.
Regardless, he was a top 5 pick. Okay, he's still young. So your question is, if he continues this, would you trade Anthony Richardson? 1,000,000%, I would. You have now seen in a small sample size again. I say it again. We'll see if you can continue this. If the Colts can continue this, and if the Colts can win that division, that's not a very good division if you look at it, right? The Tennessee Titans,
I also said that the Colts will go
the
last
Jags. Yeah, you
in
did
the
say
start of
that.
the season.
The Colts, the Jags, the Texans, who again we mentioned Cedar Stroud not playing the greatest right now. Look, if the Colts win that division, if they even get a wild card spot, and they win one playoff game, why would you want to keep a guy like Anthony Richardson? Let Daniel Jones cook. Let him there. You can create some value for a team that can have a guy like Anthony Richardson. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are the number one option that come in my mind. Obviously, with Aaron Rodgers being 40 whatever years old, they did draft Will Howard in the draft, but Anthony Richardson has the athletic ability. Maybe a new scene, right? We've seen now a few times Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, right? These young quarterbacks who had to go from team to team are now finally finding their footing. That's a lot of F's there. Finally
Mm-hmm.
getting their footing in their respective teams, making a big impact for those teams, right? And Daniel Jones
Yeah,
right now is doing that. Why would you keep a guy like Anthony Richardson, in my opinion, if you do that?
for sure.
Um,
How about there's two teams that come to mind, and two teams that have a veteran quarterback that can also be a bit of a mentor to Anthony Richardson, which he had earlier when actually no, he wasn't there when Matt Ryan was there. Who was it? It was Flacco.
yeah,
Flacco was there a year ago.
yes,
But anyways, two teams I think also it depends on how they finish this year. Then they also might draft a quarterback because this up and coming draft class. We'll talk about the draft class in a later video, but it is looking really
quarterback
good.
heavy.
There's a lot of great quarterbacks. But a team that I'm thinking about is is the Raiders. What about he learns under Geno in a bit and also being under Pete Carroll for a bit? They have the young team. They have Genti. They have two receivers that they drafted, Dante Thornton and Jack Besh. Brock Bowers, obviously. The super young team, the Raiders. I think that could also be a team that could potentially turn around Anthony Richardson. And also another team I'm thinking about is the Rams. Learn under Matthew Stafford for a bit.
For sure.
Having a mentor like Stafford. Matthew Stafford was probably going to go down as one of the most accurate quarterbacks ever. I think Drew Brees is obviously probably the best or most accurate quarterback ever. But learning under a vet and a guy like Matthew Stafford, who has won a Super Bowl, who has the experience and has been a top 10 quarterback for consecutive years, I think that's a team that could definitely benefit from a young, again a young quarterback. Anthony Richardson is only 23 or 24 years old, still super young. So
Sorry, I'm
think
really
yeah,
struggling right now trying to mute this sound. I cannot do it. This is annoying. Okay, sorry, continue.
don't worry, I'll just keep talking. But yeah, I think definitely uh, Anthony Richardson, if he goes to a team like that with a veteran quarterback, I think he would definitely benefit moving on to the future.
For sure.
Because again, I don't know how much longer Matthew Stafford, Geno Smith are going to keep playing. That's what you need. You just need a guy to learn and to really understand the offense and really just focus on. Anthony Richardson had issues with his accuracy. I think learning under those two quarterbacks, either really Geno Smith or Matthew Stafford, will definitely benefit from him moving on. Again, I think I've said the same thing for about a minute because you've been trying to figure out your stuff.
No, it's
But yeah, anyways, Anthony Richardson, those are a couple teams I'm thinking about. And then obviously, yeah, the Steelers, maybe. We'll see.
sorry about that. This sound is annoying me. Okay. I can't figure out.
Also, what's up with these Florida quarterbacks, man?
I know it's actually crazy. These four quarterbacks.
Dude, why? How come when they get in the league, they're fumbling? Like Tim Tebow, Richardson, Graham Mertz last year. Well, he did kind of get injured, but even on Saturday, DJ Langway threw 5 picks against LSU, and I don't think it's and they're all not good throws either. I think that's how good LSU is, man. It's kind of DBU. We're not just wide receiver U. We're DBU. But yeah, I have no idea what's going on with these Florida quarterbacks.
It's crazy. Hold up. I'm almost trying to figure it out right here. Okay. Think we're good for now. I hope I muted it. It's embarrassing if I didn't. Okay, Hamza, quickly. Tonight, the Buffalo Bills hosting the Miami Dolphins. Who do you got in that game and why?
Definitely Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I don't think there's. I have to explain why.
I think quickly.
But I will say, the first 2 quarters is going to be a closer. It's going to be a closer game than people think.
Okay.
I think Devon Achane will score. I'm not just saying it because I have him in both leagues. I'm not just saying it because I have him in both leagues. But Devon Achane will have a good job. We'll have a good job. We'll have a good game. But again, the Bills are.
Dude, this is insane. I can't find the button to mute it.
But the Bills are just too much to handle. I think Josh Allen, again, playing at another MVP level season. James Cook is going to cook. Big game. This is a big game for Keon Coleman. I think this is the type of game where Keon Coleman will have a great game.
For sure.
And yeah, their defense, like they can't really stop the run. So that's the thing about the Bills. They're not really the greatest at stopping the run, but they're an aggressive team, but they're not really good at stopping the run. So that's why there is a little bit of leeway for the Dolphins. They also just lost Ed Oliver, right? So I don't know. The Bills can't really stop the run, but again, they're a super aggressive team, and I think their offense just carries the load majority of the time.
I agree, and I figured it out. I found the button to mute the sound, so we are good to go. I got the Bills by more than 2 touchdowns in this game. I think that offense is unbelievable. Josh Allen's playing at an extremely high level right now. James Cook, we mentioned, is playing at a really good level as well. That defense is like really physical. I've been really impressed with how physical they're playing, attacking to the ball. So Buffalo Bills, I think they're going to win by more than 2 touchdowns. And I can't remember the last time a coach has been fired. I think Mo Salah got fired. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe week 3 or week 4. But if the Dolphins are to lose tonight, and they go lose next week as well, I don't see Mike McDaniel having a job after that because of the culture that it seems that they're building there. Tyreek Hill, there's a bunch of issues in Miami, right? It's a mess. Tua is not playing at the greatest level right now, so I can definitely see the Dolphins maybe moving on from Mike McDaniel if that so happens.
You think do you think the Dolphins should go complete rebuild? They trade away Tua, trade away Tyreek,
Yes.
and they rebuild in this up and coming draft.
Devon Achane is still relatively young. If I
Achane is still young. He's still like early mid-20s.
Exactly. So you have that kind of guy who is a dynamic runner. You want to, and you mentioned
Waddle
it too, Jalen Waddle as well. But you have a really stacked quarterback pool coming up, right? Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier.
Arch Manning's not declared.
No, sorry, Arch Manning.
No way.
Garrett Nussmeier, and so Garrett.
Lenore Sellers, Cade Club,
there you go. You all
Drew Aller.
So those guys are
Tommy Castellanos.
Tommy Castellanos would be he would be. Imagine him and Devon Achane in the backfield.
Yeah. Or dude, I was also thinking because if they finish last in their division, they're gonna have a high pick, probably around the top 5.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude. But my question is to you. I'm about to ask the question because I was about to say it, but I wanted to clarify it first.
Yeah.
Let's just say the Dolphins finish. They have a top 5 draft pick. Yeah. Okay. If you're the Dolphins, GM owner, whatever, and Lenore Sellers is available, I want you also to keep in mind that this guy is 1 year older than me. I'm only 19. So he's gonna be like 21 going into the draft, or like he'll be 20 years old while he's drafted.
Yeah.
He's going to turn 21 sometime throughout the season. Are you looking for a super young quarterback now to develop for years and hopefully contend in a couple of years? Or are you going to take a kind of a bit of an older quarterback now like Cade Klubnik or maybe Garrett Nussmeier if he falls, who's like a kind of a win-now rookie quarterback who's a little bit older, who has the experience?
Yeah. Are
you going to do that? Or are you going to take a younger, athletic, better Anthony Richardson like Lenore Sellers? What are you gonna do? I would take
the younger player like a Lenore Sellers, and then I googled it right now. Free agent quarterbacks heading into next season. Joe Flacco, he won't be there next year in Cleveland. Why not get a veteran piece to plug and play for 1 year, have a guy like Sellers learn behind him, right? You can't throw a guy like that into the fire. And maybe that's what caused Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis to kind of struggle early on in his career because he didn't have that kind of veteran quarterback, right? You can see now, right, these younger quarterbacks who are doing really well, they've had a quarterback or two ahead of them learn the system. And the NFL game is completely different from the college game, right? There's very few and far between that can jump from the college game and transition into the NFL. Right? Look at a guy like Dak Prescott, you know what I'm saying? Fourth round pick. He learned from Romo in camp, and then Romo suffered an injury. He went in there and played really well. Obviously, the great quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, all these other guys, Caleb Williams, Josh Allen, they are unique cases of quarterbacks who can make that jump and play at a high level. But now you're starting to see the benefit of having a veteran quarterback can play. So to answer your question, although Cade Klubnik is I think he's legit. Personally, I like the athletic ability from Sellers a little bit more. You draft a guy like Sellers, you go out there, get a guy like Kenny Pickett for a year, get a guy like Joe Flacco for a year, get a guy like Marcus Mariota. Some of these guys, so that these guys can learn behind. I'm keep going nothing but hey, Jake Browning. He is the number one quarterback.
What about Kirk Cousins? Potentially.
He's expensive though, man. That could be a
No, but
good
they
play
could
to
trade for
play.
him and then restructure contract.
Yeah, that could be a good play to see if they can compete next year as well. But this is a deep Miami Dolphins deep dive. But yeah, that's what I would do for sure.
But also, I think the exception with like a Jaden Daniels or even like a Dak or like who's another young quarterback that plays like super well early. Not CJ Stroud. Actually, CJ Stroud is kind of young. I'm trying to think of like older quarter. Usually the older quarterbacks when they get drafted early, like Jaden Daniels, he's already 25. Joe Burrow when he got drafted, he was like 24, 25. Like with Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik, they're a little bit older, so they're going to be 24 entering the season, turning 25 like the next year.
For sure.
I think that's why those type of quarterbacks succeed a little bit better to start off at least because they have the experience. They've been in college for years. Garrett Nussmeier has been in college football since LSU won the national championship in 2019, 2020. He's been in LSU. He's been learning under the greats at LSU, Jaden Daniels, and also I think Brian Kelly kind of helps a little bit
For sure.
to bring that as well. Even Clay Klubnik, for example, he's been around. Drew Aller, even Carson Beck, he's coming up. He's also having a good year at Miami. Again, he's a little bit older. He's been at Georgia, and he's been playing well. I think against a little bit older quarterbacks in the draft, they tend to succeed a bit better early on because they have the experience. They've played. They're a little bit more smart compared to the younger ones like Anthony Richardson. And again, we don't know about Lenore Sellers, but even Drake May to start off, he was okay his rookie season. So
all right, Hamza.
Yeah, even Josh Allen too.
I hate to cut you off there, but we're a little bit pressed for time right now. That was good points, and we'll definitely talk about this a little bit more. But quickly, obviously, Cowboys Focus podcast a little bit. Obviously, we talk about the NFL and other sports as well, which we will get into as the NHL season starts very soon. And I'm extremely excited to start talking about the Ottawa Senators and the NHL, NBA as well. We're really looking forward to that. But first, Hamza, the Cowboys heading into Chicago this Sunday. Hamza, give me a quick minute and a half what your expectations is for that game, and what do you see from this offense and this defense overall?
I think this is going to be a game where Dallas kind of solidifies themselves as being okay. Dallas isn't playing, and I think the defense will have a much better game. I hope I see much more blitzes from our defense.
Yeah,
Too much more man coverage.
Way too much zone
from our defense.
Yes.
Hopefully, again, I feel like we talked about it every week. Marius Leofau has to play more. We get Marius Leofau and Kenneth Murray in a nice little nickel set. Okay. I hope to see a lot more blitzes. I think this is also a career game for Javonte Williams.
I love that.
Mark that down. Career game for Javonte Williams.
I agree, Hamza. I cannot wait for the game. It's going to be super exciting in Chicago. Apparently, the split, they said, Nick Harris said tickets sold. He's a Cowboys insider. He had mentioned that I think 40% of the tickets, or 40 to 48%, are all Cowboy fans going to this game. So it's going to be a Cowboy Nation takeover in Chicago. Extremely excited to watch that on TV. Hopefully that makes an impact in the game. Dak Prescott, I hope he plays well. I think he will play well. Again, George Pickens, enough's been said. He's been phenomenal. And Javonte Williams. Also, Jadeveon Clowney. I think he'll be on a snap count, but I expect him to play a little bit more. And lastly, about the Cowboys game,
Number 42.
You cross the 60-yard line, Brandon Aubrey, chip shot. Easy field goal for him.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, other games I'm excited for has to be the Monday night game, Detroit Lions in Baltimore. That's going to be a unbelievable game. Super excited to see if the Detroit Lions can continue their success from week 2 and to see if the Baltimore Ravens can continue their success. They're also they're 1-1, sorry, they lost week 1. But we'll see. Derrick Henry was kind of shut down a little bit against Cleveland. I do not expect the same against Detroit. So that is a game I'm extremely excited for. Hamza, before we end it and you can close it, one more game that you were looking forward for this weekend.
The Ravens and the Lions.
That's it. You said like I did.
Monday.
Ravens and Lions. That's exactly what I said. I think that's gonna be the best game of the week. Also, Denver.
Wait, did you just say Ravens and
I
Lions?
said exactly that game.
Okay.
I'll forget right? It was the exact game.
I didn't hear that. Broncos and Chargers.
I love that. Love it.
That's a big game.
All right, Hamza, you want to take it home for us?
Yes. Thank you so much, guys. We really do appreciate the love and support. Hopefully you made it this far to see this. We'd love and appreciate if you liked and subscribed. Please follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the HnH Podcast. Share, repost. We really appreciate the love. Again, Huzefa said it earlier. We're grinding every week. Every day. Actually.
Every day.
All the time. We're always doing something.
All the time.
We're a little bit. We make up stuff on the go. We're trying to make the best content for you guys.
Best content.
And finally, we are going to end this episode again. Appreciate you guys so much. We really do appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week.
John Cena salute. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.